Welcome back to the Many Figures of, the show in which we go over the action figure history of various Transformer characters. And this time around, we're talking about one of my absolute favorite characters in all of Transformers, Beachcomber. I want to thank Double Within 1738 for suggesting Beachcomber, because it gives me an excuse to talk about one of my favorite boys. I've loved Beachcomber ever since I read his Transformers Mosaic. These were a series of one-page comics that used to be packed in the IDW comic issues. And Beachcomber's is as simple as Warpath asking him why he fights if he hates war. And Beachcomber explains he has to because he knows that if he doesn't, if good people let bad things always happen, then war is just going to get worse and more people will be hurt. Pair that with his episode in the G1 cartoon, The Golden Lagoon, which ends on one of the saddest notes of any 80s cartoon episode, Beachcomber having to see this beautiful wildlife preserve be destroyed while the Autobots are cheering over the fact that they beat the Decepticons. It's really harrowing stuff. But that's enough gushing about a character. Why don't we actually talk about his toys? Beachcomber's first toy ever was in 1985 as one of the Minibots. Now, you look at it, this is one of the best looking G1 figures in the entire toy line. It looks just like his animation model. The transformation's nothing special, it's as simple as flipping up the legs and folding in the arms. And yet, this is also basically the transformation scheme that every Beachcomber to come after this also uses. Beachcomber is really unique in that they kind of just cracked the code on him right off the bat, more so than even a character like Optimus Prime or Soundwave. Sure, not the most articulated figure in the world, but the transformation skeleton, the design, the identity, the feeling, it's all right here. His figure was so good that when Generation 2 rolled around in 1993, they just re-released him in green and orange. Yeah, out of all the molds they could have sent back out for Generation 2, they wanted to send out Beachcomber. The year 2005 would see the release of the most unique Beachcomber ever, because the Energon Mega Class Cliffjumper was repainted into Beachcomber. Now, Beachcomber here doesn't really have much of the old boy in him. Sure, there's the blue, and he kinda looks like he has the old sunglasses, but that's about it. Don't get me wrong though, this figure's amazing. The proportions are excellent, I love where the tires go above the shoulders. He looks like a massive linebacker of an Autobot, and I think that's perfect. That said, he's not, well, perfect feeling. You see, in the transformation, there's supposed to be ratcheted teeth that pass through each other, but there's very thin plastic that's moving around, meaning that it is very, very easy to split the plastic of the windshield and other parts of the figure. Alongside that, this Beachcomber is weirdly expensive, probably because it wasn't released for very long. To find one in box would cost you thousands of dollars. I don't know if this counts, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. For the 2007 movie, Cybertron Hardtop was repainted into Movie Hardtop, and the vehicle mode kinda looks like a dune buggy. You might expect, oh, this was a Beachcomber eventually. No, it turned into Shattered Glass Beachcomber. Not a new figure, they just took the pre-existing hardtop and said that this is Shattered Glass Beachcomber. Does that count? This doesn't feel like it should count. We went back to basics in 2008 when we got the Universal Legends Beachcomber. This would have been my childhood Beachcomber, and I'm still really wanting to grab him again. He's not really all that articulated, really just ball joints in the hips, ball joints in the shoulders and knees, but the transformation is very quick and efficient, and the robot mode is just absolutely gorgeous. It's just the G1 figure with knees, sure, but hey, sometimes that's all you need. We're about halfway through our Beachcomber figures, so why don't we pop over to Third Party and see what they've cooked up. One of the first third-party Beachcombers I would have ever been made aware of was the iGear Beachcomber. Now, this was designed to fit in more with your classics and universe toys, not really masterpiece the way a lot of third-party figures would go in years to come. I don't really have an issue with this Beachcomber. It's definitely been outdone by modern figures, though I do see a little bit of the Power of the Primes Beachcomber in him if we're being honest. Speaking of masterpiece alikes, you had the X-Transbots Arcos. This was one of the first attempts at a masterpiece Beachcomber, and the vehicle mode is definitely interesting. It looks more like a proper dune buggy as opposed to what you'd see in the cartoon. The robot mode does suffer a bit in the proportions. He has very weedy forearms, but overall I like the figure and the form here. The most interesting thing to me, really, is the fact that he comes with a golden hand. That's because, in the actual episode The Golden Lagoon, he sticks his hand in, and that's how he becomes aware that the Golden Lagoon makes you bulletproof. It's a really nice little detail that I do kind of wish we could see on other Beachcombers. You also had some options with Arcos. If you're more a fan of his G2 colors, they eventually did the repaint. Of course, nowadays, I think when people think Masterpiece Beachcomber, they think of the Fans Toys Dune Runner. And this is the most cartoon-accurate version of Beachcomber to ever be released. There are some pretty common complaints here. People don't like the fact that it's so easy to chip the paint on the figure, but that's also kind of just par for the course with Fans Toys. This definitely isn't my wheelhouse, but if you're a Masterpiece collector, this probably is your best option for a Beachcomber. I'll tell you what's a whole lot more my speed is Legend Scale third party, where we can talk about the Iron Factory Bay Razor. This guy is an IDW-inspired Beachcomber, and he's just so good looking. I love how chunky his robot mode is. His dune buggy mode looks just great. They used a wonderful, wonderful blue. I really need to catch up on Iron Factory, man. I love all the figures I've ever messed with from them, and this looks like no exception. Magic Square made a pretty solid Beachcomber too, came with their version of Sea Spray. Now this guy's name was 4-Wheel Drive. Oh, that's cute. And I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just the lack of paint or kind of how his joints appear. This isn't one of my favorite looking Beachcombers. Maybe if they had painted in the mouth or covered up the joints a little bit better, but for what it is, it's solid enough. But then you have the New Age Jones. Yes, this is effectively the Legends equivalent of the Fans Toys Beachcomber, but I just adore how this figure looks. It's as close to a cartoon accurate as you could get at this scale, the paint is all on point, and you have so many options when it comes to accessories and the birds he comes with. Just a beautiful, beautiful little figure, and one I so desperately want to add to my collection. Plus, they did it in G2 colors! But what if you want to go even smaller than Legend scale? What if you want to go Micromaster scale? Well, that's when you can go to Dr. Wu and Big Surge. It's a lot more blocky than most, but again, it's going to be like 2 inches tall. Welp, that's third party wrangled up when it comes to our Beachcomber video. Why don't we pop back to Hasbro and Takara proper and see what they've been getting up to. In 2009, there would have been a re-release of the Universe Beachcomber with better paint released in the Henkei line over in Japan. A year later, in 2010, we would have gotten the Revenge of the Fallen Beachcomber. This is just basically a blue Dune Runner. Don't get me wrong, decent mold, Scout class Revenge of the Fallen, you could never go wrong with it, but this is probably the worst Beachcombers ever looked as a toy, in my opinion. There would be a break for a few years, but in 2013, we would have the release of the Creon Microchanger Beachcomber. A very simple looking Creon, but I kind of like the fact that he has the Autobot logo above his knee. Why are you doing that, Beachcomber? There would be a second Creon in 2015 in the class of 1985 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive box set. Here was something weird. In 2017, if you had gone to Walgreens, you could have gotten a second Microchanger of Beachcomber. 2018 saw the release of my all-time favorite Beachcomber, the Power of the Primes Beachcomber. Now yes, he is a bit blocky in the torso, but that's so that you can put Titan Masters inside of him. They can drive him around, dude. Alongside that, I love his proportions here. His articulation is solid throughout. Transformation's basically the G1 transformation with a few more steps. And the Dune Buggy mode is just so nice. I can't get over how much I love this Beachcomber. So much so that I never replaced him. Yes, we're going to talk about the Legacy figure in just a little bit. But just know that this is still my display Beachcomber. I love it, and I'll always love it. Later on that same year, you could have gotten the Golden Lagoon Beachcomber. Now, this was a 3-pack alongside Perceptor and Sea Spray released only in Hasbro Pulse and Takara Tomy Mall, but it is a completely gold redeco of the Power of the Primes Beachcomber in order to bring the Golden Lagoon episode to mind. It looks very, very pretty, but I don't necessarily need this figure. I'm just kind of glad it exists. Finally, we have gone to the newest figure of Beachcomber, because in 2023, you could have gone the Deluxe Class Legacy Beachcomber. Now, this figure does look great. At retail, which is to say the Generations style, This is probably the best looking Beachcomber we ever have or ever will receive, but I do want to give you some caution. For one, the transformation is ultra simple for a deluxe. I'm talking even simpler than the Power of the Primes transformation. Alongside that, you see his wheels? They're made out of rubber. That rubber can damage your other figures. There's been no reports that it actually damages his plastic, but it can rip the paint off and even start to dissolve the plastic of other Transformers. Alongside that, it can affect his own paint if it were to come in contact with the blue of his forearms or legs somehow. It's a figure that is not just self-destructive, but could be destructive to figures that you're storing him with, or even having him stand alongside on the shelf if they're a bit too close. And with that, we have talked about every single Beachcomber ever put out to market. Again, Beachcomber is a character I've always loved, for many different reasons. His design, his vehicle mode, but above all else, it's his character. It's nice that there is an Autobot who is so conscious of things, the world around him, the environment around him. He loves the plants and the birds and the animals. And it's nice just to think that there is such an uber nice guy inside the Autobot forces. Now, we're not going to get many figures of him. We probably won't get many more going forward, to be honest with you. But it's nice that we've had so many options, because at the end of the day, Beachcomber is a character that does deserve more. More media appearances, more potential in storylines, and maybe, just maybe, more toys. I want to thank everyone for sticking with me throughout this video. And I'll ask it, do you have a favorite Beachcomber? Is there a Beachcomber that you might be looking for right now? The character that we have next on the list is Lockdown, and after him we have a lot of viewer requests to work through, but I'm always happy to hear who else people would like me to take a look at. Of course, I have some characters I myself am interested in, but that can wait until we work through our list. Guys, you've been a phenomenal audience. Thank you for sticking around. We're going to look at Lockdown next time, and hey, we'll see what we get up to then.